Dear students, this is Gaurav Singh, and today I'm going to take your class that is based on the subject civics. In that, we will study the second chapter, secularism and the Indian Constitution. Under that, we have already covered secularism, and now we will continue with fundamental rights. Okay, so first of all, I want to draw your kind attention that fundamental rights are the most basic human rights, as we know, which ensure the dignity and freedom of an individual. Understood? Means fundamental rights are the most basic common rights and which ensure the dignity and freedom of an individual. Understood? And they are also incorporated in the constitution because of their universal nature. Understood? Now, as we know, in Hindi, Indian constitution is known as Bharatiya Samvidhan and fundamental right is Maulik Adhikar, means the right which is fundamentally available to all the citizens of the country. Understood? Next, I have already told you about the Indian fundamental rights. It is for Indian citizen. Now, let's come to the definition. The fundamental rights are defined as a basic human rights of all the citizen. Okay, so it is basic human rights of all the citizens. It is not for individual. It is for all citizens of the country. The Constitution of India guaranteed elaborate fundamental rights to its citizen in part 3 of the Constitution. Means fundamental right is in the third part of the Indian Constitution. Okay, it is very essential for an individual for his all-round development. Okay, so for all-round development, these rights are very essential. Without this, you cannot even imagine about the future in a particular country where democracy is there. Okay, so it is very important. Now, let's define here. I have already told you about fundamental rights. It is defined as the basic human rights of all citizens. Then, this right is defined in the third part of the Constitution. It is applied irrespective of race, place of birth, religion, caste, creed, or gender. Understood? They are also enforceable by the court subject to the specific restrictions. So, it is very, very essential. Understood? Very essential. Now, these rights had deep roots in the national struggle for independence. Several violations of human rights has occurred in the past under colonial rule. Understood? In the colonial rule or British era, means several violations of human rights had occurred. But at that time, the rule was made by Britishers and which was always in the favor of British government. Okay, it was not based on the Indian people or for Indian citizen. No, it was not there. Okay, so thus it was necessary to incorporate them as a fundamental rights in the Constitution. Okay, after getting independence, it was the first priority to make our own Constitution. Understood? Now, you can also understand by these few facts and figures which I am going to explain here. When India was framing its Constitution, it also had certain international declarations in mind. And what was that international declaration? Declaration of the Rights, a legacy of the French Revolution of 1789, in the Constitution of France. Understood? So Declaration of Rights, a legacy of the French Revolution of 1789 in the Constitution of France. Then second one was Bill of Rights in the Constitution of United States of America in 1791. Understand? So it was there. Then third one was Universal Declaration of Human Rights adopted by the United National Assembly on 10 December 1948. Means human rights was accepted or adopted by the United Nations Assembly on 10 December 1948. So these declarations encouraged India to affirm, adopt and enact human rights in the form of fundamental rights in the Constitution. Okay, so it was very important, very important. Next, in India, most of the people are not aware about its right because of many things. Okay, because of many things. Because some who is the student of political science, Indian polity, and different other other subject. So if you are not from the core of polity, political science or civics, so even you cannot reply and you cannot understand about what is your rights, what is your duties, what are the role and functions of parliament. So you cannot understand. Understood? So these were very very sad part of the story for Indians. Most of the Indians still not aware about their rights. As you all are the student, you know about your rights, why you have taken birth, what is your purpose, why you are reading Hindi book, why are you reading Sanskrit book, why are you reading English book, what is the role, what will be the role in the future, what will be the impact in the future. Understood? So this is one thing. So awareness is very important. Because fundamental rights, as we know, being from the background of the particular subject, so we can understand about the fundamental right, which other cannot understand until unless we will not create any awareness program for them. Understood? So let's see the significance of fundamental rights, why it is important. Okay, so awareness is very important here. This people is very very common in each and every democratic country, and everything is constituted and constructed for the welfare of the citizen of the nation. Understood? So the fundamental rights are having some basic significance. And what is the significance? Significance of these rights can determine that they provide suitable conditions for the all-round development of a human being. These rights protect people from unjust discrimination. Understood? Unjust discrimination. And they also act as a check on the arbitrary powers and acts of the government. This is also the means GOI. Government of India's function can be understood. It is enforceable. So these rights are enforceable by law, and thus one can move the Supreme Court or High Court of their enforcement. Means Supreme Court, that is nodal court of the country. Understood? And High Court. Understood? Supreme Court, High Court, both are there. So you can directly move to the Supreme Court and High Court to enforce further enforcement. Okay. Also, another point, reveal the underlying concept of equality, as all citizens are given the same freedom irrespective of religion, sex, even race, social status or caste, etc., etc. Understood? So they have helped to frame legislation to abolish untouchability in Indian Constitution. So these are some significance, okay, for for the fundamental rights. Why fundamental rights came into the existence? Because of this reason, for the combatement of the social stigma, for the combatement of the social justice, so social injustice. Understood? So these things were very much important. Now, fundamental rights are always planned to protect the dignity of individual and create situation which can help every human being to develop his personality to the fullest extent, and they inter lace a guaranteed pattern on the basic structure of human rights. So it was planned to protect, means its prime motto is to protect the dignity of an individual and create situations which can help every human beings to develop his personality. Understood? So it is very essential for human beings one who reside in the country. Why rights are called fundamental? The fundamental rights are the basic rights of freedom and dignity of individual. Understood? And these are called fundamental because they are the most important portion of the constitution. Due to this reason, we can understand that it is fundamental. Also, it protects the freedom of an individual. So these are the some reason, that's why these rights are known as fundamental rights, not human rights. Now we will see about its categories. First one is right to freedom. As we know, fundamental rights are classified or have been classified under the 6 categories: right to freedom, right to equality, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, and right to constitutional remedies. Okay, so these are 6 rights which we are going to discuss in the next slide. Now, I have already given the basic information about these 6 rights here. Now we will go in the details, because right to equality, it is talking about equality. Freedom, about talking about freedom. Right against exploitation, it is talking against exploitation. Right to freedom of religion, means we are free to follow any religion, means freedom of religion. It is talking about the cultural and educational rights. And this one is right to constitutional remedies. Understood? Now come into the details. Right to equality, it is in article 14 to 18, means 14 to 18. Under this article we will study about right to equality. As we know, the concept of equality is the guiding principles of our social living. Hence our constitution has granted to all its citizens equality before law, as well as equality in protection by law without distinction of caste, creed, color, sex, religion, or economic status. Understood? So the right to equality includes equality before law, the provision of discrimination on ground, I have already talked about that. Yes, opportunity, matters of employment, the abolition of untouchability, and abolition of titles. So these things comes under the right to equality. Now, Article 15 talks about provision of discrimination, equality of opportunity under Article 16, abolition of untouchability, Article 17, abolition of titles, it is in under Article 18. So this makes right to equality. It combines and forms right to equality, provides equal justice to all, and these rights cannot be violated in India. If someone is trying to violate, and if someone wants to cross the limit prescribed by the constitution, they will be punished. It doesn't matter they are leader, they are someone else, okay, or someone else. Good. Now a few more things I want to add here. So the state can make reservations for women, means These are, two, three, exceptions to this right. Means the state can make reservation for women. The state may make social provisions for socially and economically backward classes, or the scheduled caste, that is SC, and the scheduled tribe, that is ST. Okay, so state make special provisions for them. Understood? For SC and ST and economically backward classes, whomsoever is there. Then come to the next, right to freedom. It comes under Article 9 to 22. First of all, what is freedom? Why it is important? As we know, even each and every creature on this universe want to be free. They never think about the interruption in their life process, in their lifestyle, in their habitat. So we cannot encroach them. We cannot make any kind of disturbance for them. Understood? We cannot make any disturbance. So this is about the freedom, and it is important, and it is mentioned here under Article 19 to 21, where the first thing is right to freedom includes freedom of speech and expression, assembly, association or union or cooperatives, movement, residence, and right to practice any profession and occupation. So right to freedom provides freedom of speech and expression, also to assemble, to association, or make a union or cooperatives, to start any movement. Okay, so these are very, very essential, and we want these rights, and this right is given under the right to freedom. So we can start any occupation, we can practice any profession, but but with some limitations. If we will cross the limit, so it is punishable. Understood? So while enjoying these freedoms, care should be taken that it does not hamper the larger interest of the nation and the people. Understood? So the constitution given every person the right to life, and it lays down what? That no person shall be deprived of his life and personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. So in case of any arrest under ordinary circumstances, the constitution grants three rights to an individual. Understood? What are these three rights? So a person cannot be detained in custody without being informed about the grounds of arrest. So without any grounds of arrest, by telling by the police or anyone, no one can arrest you. Second one, she or he can be defended by the lawyers of his choice. Understood? And the third one is, he or she has the right to produced before the nearest magistrate within 24 hours of arrest. So these are very fundamental and essential. Understood? Right to freedom. Under the Article 19, protection of certain rights regarding freedom of speech, etc. There are 6 freedoms. This is talking about the 6 freedoms. First one, all citizens shall have the right to what? To freedom of speech and expression, assemble peacefully without arms, form association or unions, move freely throughout the territory of India, reside and settle at any part or in any part of the territory of India, the right to hold and dispose of property, practice any profession, or to carry on any occupation, trade or business. So all these rights provides or talks about the or in the favor of the people, in the favor of the citizen. So it is very important. So it talks about that means you are having the right to speech and express. You have also the to assemble peacefully, but it should not hamper the others or harm the people. So you should avoid arms. Form associations or union. You can form association or union as per the requirement, but it should not be anti-national. It must be national. It must be talked about the nation. Understood? Move freely throughout the territory of India. You can move. We can move easily. We can reside and settle in any part of the territory of India. Understood? Also, the right to property was fundamental right, but right now it is just a legal right, and it has been transferred under Article 300A by constitutional amendment, that was 44th constitutional amendment 1978. Okay, and also we can exercise or practice any profession or carry on any occupation, trade or business throughout the country. So it is talking about the right freedom. Now we will talk about right against exploitation. Right against exploitation. In Hindi, शोषण के विरुद्ध अधिकार means शोषण, exploitation. It talks about right against exploitation under Article 23 to 24. And first one is that provision of traffic in human beings and forced labor under Article 23 means human trafficking is not allowed. It is prohibited in India under this right against exploitation. So this article prohibits the traffic of inhuman beings and forced labor. So forced labor cannot be continue. Understood? Next, provision of compulsory service under Article 23. What is the compulsory services? If there will be any need or urgency in the country, so it will be the responsibility of the people or the citizen whomsoever is residing in the country. They must have to provide the service that is for the public purpose. Okay, so under this article, state can force people to do compulsory services, okay, for public purpose. Understood? Forced labor. Now, it is also talking about the child labor, means to prohibit child labor under Article 24. So below the age of 14 years, keep in your mind, below the age of, what is below, not above, will not be allowed to work in factories, mines or in other dangerous places, so that their health is not adversely affected. Okay, so we should not promote the child labor because it is an offensive crime. Okay, now, so I have already talked about all these three: human trafficking in human beings, then compulsory services, then child labor. Now, stop human trafficking. It is shown in this figure. शोषण के विरुद्ध अधिकार, right against exploitation, child labor. Okay, this is the man who is carrying the human excreta or human waste. And the issue was that, means if someone's father is cleaning the toilet, so the next generation or their son will also carry the toilet or the human excreta. It was not good, because this is the right to all. So right to dignity means everyone having the equal rights. Understood? So we cannot force them. If your father is doing the same, you must have to carry. No, it is not good. Now, so here one child is crying and trying to give the message to the society: stop child abuse. because the right against exploitation prohibits all forms of forced labor, child labor, and human trafficking of human beings. Okay, so it is talking about that. So exploitation should not be there on the ground of place of birth, race, caste, creeds, color, sex, religion, or economic status. Understood? Now we will talk about the right to freedom of religion. Right to freedom of religion here. Right to freedom of religion. It is very important that India has adopted the ideal of secularism as we have studied in its constitution. And one more thing, it treats all religions as equal. As we know, there is no state religion, neither does the state favor any particular religion. People are free. People are free to practice their own religion in the way they deem fit. If it is suitable, so you can follow that religion. Understood? People can freely profess, practice, and propagate their religion. It is also talking about that. Means this is cycle where you can see, suppose it is of Sikh, symbol of Christianity, symbol of Hinduism, symbol of Islam. Understood? So these are some religious symbols. But India has no any specific religion. So in terms of definition, everyone has a right to freedom of thought, conscience, and the religion. And this right includes freedom to change his religion or belief, and freedom either alone or in community with others, and in public or private to manifest his religion or belief in worship, teaching, practice, and observance. Means right to freedom of thoughts, conscience, religion. These rights includes freedom to change his religion, belief, and freedom. Understood? So it is very common right to all. No one is forced here to follow any religion because the state has no religion. Everyone is free to follow any religion, either individually or in community. There is no objection. But no one can make force someone to follow their religion. Okay. Here, Article 25 talks about freedom to profess and propagate any religion. Means we can profess or propagate any religion. Understood? Article 26 talks about freedom to manage religious affair. If there is any religious affair, so there is right to freedom to manage the religious affair. Under Article 27, freedom not to pay taxes for the promotion of any particular religion. So there is no mandatory to pay any tax to promote any particular religion. Understood? And then Article 28.1, no religious instruction in the government educational institution. Means government is not spreading or advertising any religion. Okay, because India is a secular country. Understood? Now, private educational institutions, religious education, not against the will. Means under Article 28.3, any private education institution or religious education against the will. Okay, so they can also not make someone force to follow their religion. Understood? Now, there is one quote, every person enjoys the freedom of religion and faith. Means by birth, by heredity, every person enjoys the freedom of religion and faith as per your choice. If you are having belief in your God, if you are having belief on others' God, have faith. You are free to follow the religion. Understood? Now, the next right is cultural and educational rights. We will talk about the cultural and educational rights. As we know, people in our country not only follow the different religions, but also speak various languages and follow different scripts. Okay, so some of the groups are large in number, while others exist in minorities. So the constitution has granted the minority communities certain rights to protect and nurture their distinct language, script and culture. Understood? As you can see here, different people in the different attire, and it is showing that their diversification, their belief, their faith over their religion, over their custom. But the question is here, what was the purpose of granting cultural and educational right? Why it is mentioned by the founding fathers in the constitution book? So, being India as a secular state, to maintain it and let the minority to mix with the mainstream society and can help the development of the country. Understood? This was the purpose. And other reason is that India is a country of diverse culture and everybody is equal. Hence, they have the equal opportunity to preserve it. And the minorities have given protection to preserve and strengthen the integrity of the country. So this was some reason behind providing the granting the cultural and educational right. That's why in the constitution it is mentioned. General secular education will open doors of perception and act as the natural rights. Acts as the natural rights. In the mind of our countrymen to live in the whole, and this is the true spirit of liberty, equality, fraternity through medium of education. This was the reason to provide cultural and educational rights in the constitution. Now the definition. What is cultural and educational rights? Cultural and educational rights preserve the right of any section of citizens to conserve their culture, language or script, and right to minorities to establish and administer education institution of their choice. Means choice based, you can sustain your life. It will be your choice to follow any language, culture, script. Understood? So it comes here. As we know, cultural and educational rights lies under Article 29 to 30. Article 29(1) says that protection against interest of minorities are freedom to get admission in educational institution, that is Article 29(2), right to minorities to establish educational institution under Article 31. So this is also very important articles through which we can understand about the rights which is based on our culture and our education. So no discrimination while giving grants under Article 32. So cultural education article, rights is very important, and it has been introduced by these main reasons. And they have also freedom to set up their own educational institution for their purpose. The cultural and educational rights help to create feeling of security among the minorities and a bonding with the rest of the population. Means there should not be any discrimination between the majority and minority. Understood? Despite being India is having the different culture, different languages, different regions, different customs, but it is unite. Means still in India, unity is in diversity. There is diversity, but still there is unity. Understood? Now, the last right of the Constitution is right to constitutional remedies. It is very important. It is very important. Understand? So, you can understand that our father of Indian Constitution, that is Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar Sahabji, has given a very, very important term, that is heart and soul of Indian Constitution. It means Article 32. It means right to constitutional remedies. It means it is the heart and soul of our Indian Constitution. Understood? So someone will ask you which article is known as heart and soul of Indian Constitution. What you will say? Article 32. What is Article 32? Article 32 is constitutional remedies. Now we will study why it is known as heart and soul. Because it protects the fundamental rights directly to each and every citizen of the country. We are free to file any violations in the Supreme Court. So, right the constitutional remedies is present for enforcement of fundamental rights. No one can violate our fundamental rights. So, for the enforcement, we can directly go to the Supreme Court. So, if someone will ask you, what is the right to constitutional remedies? So, constitutional remedies empowers the citizens to move a court of law in case of any denial of the fundamental rights. If someone is denying your fundamental rights, so you can directly go to the or move a court of law. Understood? It is very important. Now, in case of imprisonment, the citizen can ask the court to see if it is according to the provisions of the law of the country. If the court finds that it is not, then the person will have to be freed. Means without reason, no one can arrest anyone. Police is not forced to arrest until unless there is not any offense. So the procedure of asking the courts to preserve or safeguard the citizens' fundamental rights can be done in various ways. The courts can issue various kinds of writs. And what are that writs? That writs are habeas corpus, mandamus, provision, quo warranto, and certiorari. We will study in the separate class about these 5 writs, why it is important, why we are issuing why these writs are there. Understood? Also, one more thing I want to add here. When national or state emergency is declared, this right is suspended by the central government. At that time, government can take some rights from the citizen. You cannot go to the Supreme Court for that. But there must be the state emergency or national emergency. Understood? Citizens can approach Supreme Court for implementation of fundamental rights under Article 32(1). Understood? So citizen can approach directly to the Supreme Court, that is apex court of the country. For which purpose? For implementation of fundamental rights. So the Indian Parliament can power any court to issue notice within its jurisdiction without infringing or influencing the powers of the Supreme Court under Article 32(3). So these are very essential, and the state cannot suspend their rights to constitutional remedies except in the case provided by the Constitution. Means whatever case is mentioned there in the Indian Constitution, only that can be, although that cannot be suspended by any state. Understand? So this were all about the fundamental rights. Now let's revise what we have studied today. In the fundamental rights, we talked about fundamental rights and its definition. Why fundamental rights is known as fundamental rights, awareness of the fundamental rights. Okay, now talked about fundamental rights and its classification. Right to equality, it starts from Article 14 to Article 18. We talked about right to freedom, Article 19 to 22. Then talked about right against exploitation, Article 23 to 24. Then talked about right to freedom of religion, Article 25. Then talked about cultural and educational right, that is 29 to 30. Then talked about right to constitutional remedies. It is under Article 32. Okay, so in this way we have completed our topic, that is fundamental rights here. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you all are healthy, and you are all very much conscious for the combatant of COVID-19, that is coronavirus. So thank you very much. Stay home. Keep yourself safe. Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice day. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the channel and the video. Thank you. Thank you very much.